the shocking death of a star. The whole world wants to know what happened, and every minute counts.
Michael Jackson has died.
Now, for the first time, go behind the crime scene tape. With computer-generated forensic graphics and true-to-life reenactments, follow the investigation as police race against time to solve the case. In this episode, the king of pop, Michael Jackson, mysteriously dead at age 50.
He's not breathing, and we're trying to pump him, but he's not responding to the CPR or anything.
Go inside the frantic attempts to save Michael's life.
Our firefighters found the doctor doing CPR. Mr. Jackson was in dire straits.
Follow authorities as they zero in on the cause of death.
There was massive amounts of prescription drugs. It was like a pharmacy.
And meet the man police say is responsible.
Dr. Conrad Murray.
Who is this guy? Where did he come from? There's some things here that don't add up.
Next, on Famous Crime Scene, Michael Jackson. June 25th, 2009, Staples Center, Los Angeles, just after midnight. Michael Jackson finishes up a long rehearsal for his This Is It comeback shows, which kick off in less than 3 weeks.
This is the final curtain call.
Michael then returns to his rented mansion in the Holmby Hills section of LA. At about 1:30 a.m., he goes to bed.
We have a gentleman here that needs help, and he's not breathing. He's not breathing, and we're trying to pump him, but he's not.
Okay, how old is he?
He's 50 years old, sir.
50. He's unconscious. He's not breathing.
We got the call at 12:21. There was no identification by the caller of who he was or who was having the medical issues. But we knew that someone was in dire straits.
Did anybody see him?
Yes, we have a personal doctor here with him, sir.
Oh, you have a doctor there?
Yes, but he's not responding to the CPR or anything.
All right. Do you have him? Is he on the floor? Where's he at right now?
He's on the bed, sir. He's on the bed.
Okay, let's get him on the floor.
Okay, let's get him on the floor.
CPR should be conducted on hard, firm surfaces. But there was a physician in the room that was doing CPR on the bed.
A hard surface is critical for proper CPR, so the patient's heart can be compressed effectively between the breastbone and the spinal column. When Michael's given CPR in his bed, he's simply being pushed down into the mattress. The compressions can't squeeze his heart enough to pump blood to the brain and other organs.
The biomechanics of CPR are very straightforward. How or why a physician might not know that I can't comment on.
LAFD Rescue Ambulance 71 arrives at 100 North Carrollwood Drive.
And at 12:25, we were on scene. Firefighters were led in and then led to the room where the patient was located. Our firefighters found the doctor doing CPR. Turned out to be Michael Jackson.
Stop. What do we have? This is unresponsive.
These are experienced emergency providers. I think it became very apparent to our personnel that this individual was down probably for quite some time.
The paramedics perform CPR and other life-saving measures in hopes of a miracle.
EMTs on scene do uninterrupted chest compressions with supplemental oxygen. They administer drugs like adrenaline. They insert an endotracheal tube with 100% oxygen to provide rescue breathing.
But unfortunately, a pulse is never restored. It's clear that Michael Jackson is dead.
The reality is, after 20 minutes on scene with both basic and life support interventions ongoing and failure to return a pulse, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that resuscitation is going to be unsuccessful.
Although paramedics in this situation might normally pronounce a patient dead at the scene, Michael's personal physician insists on further treatment.
The doctor said, take him to the hospital. What apparently he was doing was saying, he didn't die on my watch. By getting him to the hospital, let somebody else pronounce him dead.
Meanwhile, the scene outside Michael's mansion begins to attract attention. Onlookers realize something is amiss.
When I arrived about 12:40, the ambulance was inside the gates. There was a fire truck that was parked out on the street. I was doing video and I could see the call screen and it said 50-year-old male not breathing. At a certain point, I could see the paramedics exiting the house with a stretcher. I moved closer to the gate. It was a difficult shot to get, but I could see that it was Michael.
I was driving my tour. All of a sudden, I heard a reverse signal. Could see the paparazzi running towards the ambulance, and it was chaos.
Right or left? Right or left?
Paramedics continued to work on Michael as they transport him to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. With the paparazzi now trailing them, paramedics first turned west on a winding 1-mile stretch of Sunset. Then Hillgard, LeConte, and 2 more quick turns to reach the ER loading zone. The 2.7-mile trip takes 8 minutes. ER doctors work furiously to revive Michael. Though it seems hopeless, they refuse to give up on the megastar.
Clear.
But nothing works. Simultaneously, at about 1:30 p.m., the world gets word that Michael Jackson has suffered cardiac arrest and is in critical condition. Very few realize he is already gone.
The first report that came in was from TMZ, and it said that Michael Jackson has suffered a cardiac arrest. Everyone was in shock.
Michael Jackson suffered cardiac arrest and is now in a coma, literally struggling for his life.
I got a phone call from Randy Jackson telling me that they had taken his brother Michael to the hospital, and he just says, "Brian, it's bad. Meet me there."
Family members were arriving, so you had all this grief and anguish unfolding, and within 30 minutes, hundreds of fans started to show up at that hospital, and we were all waiting on word.
Both the Los Angeles Times and CBS News are both now reporting that Michael Jackson has died.
My brother, the legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, passed away on Thursday, June 25th, 2009 at 2:26 p.m. It is believed he suffered cardiac arrest in his home.
I was wanted to see him in concert. It's not fair that he's...
At 10 a.m. on June 26th, the autopsy of Michael Jackson begins. 3 hours later, LA's chief medical examiner issues a statement.
There was no indication of foul play. The medical examiner has ordered additional testing. Those tests will take approximately 4 to 6 additional weeks.
With all signs pointing to a prescription drug overdose, the focus remains on Michael's private physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, who is still missing.
The reason why they were unable to find Dr. Murray is plain and simple. Murray was already contacting lawyers to represent him and to plan his strategy.
The following day, Murray and his lawyer agree to meet privately with detectives to give his statement.
He laid out everything that had happened, not just that day, but in the 6 weeks leading up to Michael Jackson's death. He said that Michael Jackson had told him that he regularly used propofol and needed it to fall asleep. And Dr. Murray had been giving him quantities of it every night for 6 weeks, and then became concerned that he was becoming addicted to it.
So that night, he had essentially given him substitute.
Though his lawyers will later claim Murray made unspecified mistakes recounting his timeline, this is what he tells police. Starting at 1:30 a.m., he gave Michael a Valium. 30 minutes later, Michael was still awake, so he administered the sedative Ativan via IV. For the rest of the night, Murray alternated between doses of Ativan and another sedative, Versed, every few hours.
Still, nothing worked. And then at that point, they had said that Michael Jackson asked for what he called his milk.
And at about 10:40 that morning, after much begging and pleading, Dr. Murray had relented and given him a dose of propofol.
Murray says he gave 25 milligrams diluted with lidocaine. It went straight into Michael's IV, and finally, he fell asleep. Murray explains that he continued to monitor Michael for roughly 10 minutes before heading to the bathroom, and that he was out of the room for 2 minutes maximum.
You do not leave a patient who's on propofol. If something goes wrong with their heart or their breathing or whatever, you're there. To go to the bathroom for a few minutes is just mind-boggling.
But evidence suggests the doctor was out of the room far longer than 2 minutes. Murray's cell phone log, which detectives later obtain, shows that from 11:18 a.m. to 12:05 p.m., Murray was on the phone with 3 separate callers, totaling 47 minutes.
Investigators are wondering, why is he on the phone 3 different times?
We believe that he called his office in Houston, he had a girlfriend in Santa Monica, or his office in Las Vegas.
Murray says that once he returned to the room, he found Michael not breathing. That exact time is still unknown. He then immediately started CPR and administered 2 milligrams of the anti-overdose medicine Annexate. Anexate counteracts specific drugs by blocking the brain receptors they affect, allowing those receptors to return to their usual state. When successful, sedation is reversed and the brain resumes a normal level of activity and consciousness. Unfortunately, the drug didn't work on Michael. Murray's lawyer said that only after doing 25 to 30 minutes of CPR did the doctor run to get assistance.
Somebody call security! Call security!
Once staff members arrived, 911 was finally called.
He's not breathing.
Other than the time that the paramedics came, who knows what was going on in that bedroom?
There's some things here that don't add up. This argument was that nothing was given to Michael that would have killed him. He didn't do anything wrong.
Coming up, investigators nail down the cause of death. And later, police dig up some dirt on Dr.
This is it. Here I stand. I'm the light of the world. I feel grand.